And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Georges the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big John McCarthy.
Well, welcome to everybody out there now tuning in to the greatest MMA podcast in the universe. I will say it again, the greatest MMA podcast in the universe. And it's because we have the man, the myth, the legend, Podcast Dave on the Oh, no, we have the real punk Josh Thompson coming in to give his
crowd goes wild,
version of MMA, even though sometimes it's all bent up. But we are here to have fun, talk about combat sports, all of combat sports, but mostly the greatest sport in the world, MMA. What is up, my man?
What is going on? I heard you had the flight from hell yesterday. Talk to me, Goose.
Holy shit. I could have flown to frickin' France in the time it took me to go from Orange County, California to Dallas, Fort Worth.
Jeez.
Unbelievable. I sat on a tarmac in a plane just sitting there, kind of like held hostage. Horrible.
Let me ask what airline you're on.
I go on there. They did me no favors, man.
But you got
from
home.
From 8:30 taking off on the plane until finally got home at 1:00 in the morning.
Jeez, man. Jeez.
Nice.
You fly into where do you fly into? Chattanooga?
I did last night because they canceled my flight to Knoxville.
Got it.
Normally I go into Knoxville. But
see, that's another reason I don't want to move to Tennessee. Not a lot of flights going there. No,
a lot of flights.
All right. Well, let's we're gonna have some fun today because there's not a lot of news to talk about. So I want to touch on one thing real quick. Okay, everybody.
Let's hear it.
Everybody, I want to do like how the newspapers do these days. On the back of the page, right? They have a correction. Nate Robinson is not 6 foot. Okay. He is. Apparently he's 5'9". You guys like to spit, or 5'6" or 5'8". Everybody in the comment section, you guys are fighting with each other. Meanwhile,
so what we need is we need Nate Robinson to come and post in the comments. All right, here is my actual size, but we want a photo with the tape measure.
Yeah. One thing you guys need to understand, I don't give a shit about basketball and about Nate Robinson's height.
And his height.
It was hilarious. He's tall, long, and lanky. And it was funny. Someone goes, that's probably the worst description I've ever heard of Nate Robinson. But look, 5'9", tall, long, and lanky could be that. I'm 5'10". I'm tall, long, and lanky in the 155-pound weight class. You could say that, right? Tall, long, and lanky for 155. 5'10"-ish, 5'10", a little over 5'10".
So how's things going?
Yeah, so how's things going? Wow, good. But I'm saying he looks tall, long. Anyways, okay, even if he's 5'9", some of you guys are arguing 5'6", whatever. You guys might have got him mixed up with Muggsy Bogues. I don't care. Okay?
5'3". I know that one.
5'3", whatever.
I got that one.
5'3" or 5'1"?
5'3".
Who Spud Webb was 5'1".
Spud Webb was 5'7". Look at this.
Man.
Look at this.
See. I want back. I want proof. I want proof.
Give me another. Go ahead.
I want proof.
Look it up.
But yes. So guys, I just wanted to clear that up. That's the auto correction on the back of the newspaper. Okay, it's talking about what we talked about last time. I'm just fixing the error that I committed. So it was fun. I was reading the comments, hitting all the likes of people like that said, "Get over it. No one cares." I had liked all your guys' comments. Thank you guys. Okay, so that was me, Podcast Dave. He doesn't do that. So, but I wanted to say thank you guys for sticking up for me. I appreciate it. I do read the comments because I'm a total noob. I don't know what that means, but I heard that being used a couple times. But
podcast nerd.
That's what a noob means.
Podcast comment nerd. That's what I'm calling you.
Nice.
So you're the PCN.
I am a nerd. I'm a nerd.
All right.
What else? What else do we got, John?
You know, I want to bring up. They showed a video, and it was of Jolie Poirier, Dustin Poirier's wife, going into Conor McGregor's dressing room just to say thank you for the donation that he had made and stuff. And you see how gracious both are in that, and it's nice that people get to see what really happens sometimes in the back that we know about, we see all the time, that the fans don't see, and they don't understand that the fight is the fight, and both guys are giving it everything they have. But once the fight's over, it's over. And, you're normal people, and, you treat each other the right way. And so I thought it was nice, very nice that they showed that and showed that Mrs. Poirier went in there and thanked someone for doing something very special for their foundation. So I thought it was a great little thing that they put out.
Yeah, she had pointed out Conor is going to change a lot of people's lives with the $500,000 donation, and not to mention all the other people that have been influenced by the fact that they saw him donate $500,000. So how many people are going to go and say, you know what, he donated $500,000. Let me go in there and donate also. It must mean something to them, must mean something to that organization for him to be behind this and still, even after defeat, still willing to donate the money. I think a lot of other people are going to be influenced. That'll bring in a lot more eyeballs to it, as well as a lot more money to it. So she was right by doing what she did. She was also right by the fact that saying that his donation will change a lot of people's minds about donating to a cause. And what better person to do it? I think Conor will lead the way to help bring in more eyeballs to that organization. And that's great. That's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah, it was. It was just all around. It's a good thing. Good thing that people get to see it.
Yeah, because not everyone, like you said, not people, the casual fan at home is not going to see that. The hardcore fans are going to realize how important it is that these fighters do things like this, set up their own charitable organization, set up, and they communicate with each other to do these type of things. And a lot of this happens in the back, the conversations after a fight wins, there's a lot of mutual respect that happens. And the fight and fans don't get to see that. And it's good that this was seen by the public.
Yep. I agree.
What else we got, Dave?
So this was also in the fan questions. And so I'll throw this out there. Mario Yamasaki is returning to MMA refereeing. So John, I don't know if you know more about why he wasn't, because I didn't know he wasn't. But Michael Chiesa says the sport is better off without you officiating.
Well, Michael Chiesa is still mad about a stoppage against Kevin Lee, which, he can say what he wants and everyone will have their own opinions. And what Mario didn't do is he didn't let that thing go to the completion that it was going to, that would have made it to where no one could say anything. And that honestly was a shame for both fighters. Shame for Michael Chiesa and a definite shame for Kevin Lee, who won the fight. But if you look at what happened with Mario and look, I've known Mario for many, many years now, since the very first UFC in Brazil, which was let's say about 1997, I would say. So Mario started refereeing off of that. Everyone's going to have their reasons for doing things, and one of the things I'm going to say is Mario, had a long career, and there was the one fight. It was the women's fight with Valentina Shevchenko, and I can't say the other lady's name correctly. It's Kaukeka, or I don't know, whatever. The Brazilian girl who came in, last minute basically, and took that fight. And it was just a demolishing of a fighter. And Shevchenko was doing whatever she wanted. And there was many times that Mario probably should have stopped the fight. It was that fight that made it to where the UFC said, we don't want to use Mario anymore.
It's right there.
Is it Priscilla?
Priscilla.
Yes. Well, you can look at the
Go ahead
ref.
and say it. Go ahead and say it
Yeah,
again.
yeah.
See, and you can't.
Yeah.
But that fight was the one. Well, then here's the difference is Mario, lives in Brazil. He lived in Maryland for a while, but he lives in Brazil, and he can work with, CAB MMA, which is the Brazilian regulatory body there. But he didn't do the small shows in Brazil. I can tell you, Josh, I did fights all the time. And, I would do a UFC on a Saturday night. I would be doing a different show on a Friday. Sometimes I was doing a show on a Thursday, sometimes a show on a Tuesday. And some of these shows were, shows no one sees, Orange County Fight Club and all these things. But I thought it was always important to be there at all those shows to see the new fighters coming up and to help build the sport of MMA. One of the things I think Mario made a mistake in is he became more of, and I'm telling you right now, there's only been really two UFC referees. Okay. I was one because I was there when there were no athletic commissions and I was getting paid, directly by the UFC, and I was contracted by the UFC back then. And Mario was the other one. Herb Dean, Mark Goddard, all of the other, never. They were always working with the athletic commissions. Those are the ones that brought them in. So Mario would be one of those guys you look and say, well, he was a UFC referee, but he kind of kept that going when everyone else didn't do that. Everyone else worked all these different shows. And, Mario got a lot off of it, especially in Brazil. He's a pretty good salesman. And it became I look at it the same as fighting. When you're fighting and you're fighting regularly, you're going to be sharper. I always tell referees, the more repetitions you get in the fight game, the better off you're going to be. It's going to help you in making decisions. It's going to help you in seeing something that someone hasn't seen before. It's just better when you have a referee that doesn't get a lot of repetitions. They tend to make more mistakes. So, Mario made his decisions. The whole fact of him coming back, he can be coming back. All he has to do if he's going to referee is he can go through Cobb MMA, and if they license him, they'll put him into shows there in Brazil. He can try to go back and get licensed in some of the athletic commissions that are here in the States. And if they license him, he has worked since the UFC said, we don't want him. He worked the PFL. He's worked, a couple of different shows. It's a matter of, you can come back and referee. As long as they license you and they put you in the show, you're going to referee. I don't think he's going to be refereeing anything with the UFC. They're going to request the athletic commission not use him because they were upset with his performance. And I think, Michael Chiesa has his own reasons for saying what he's saying, but it's really not a question of what, Mario says he's coming back. He can come back and get licensed, but where he works and what shows he works, that's going to be up to a commission that licenses him.
Yeah, I think we just need to spread more love, okay, and not hate.
And honestly, that's part of the whole thing is you get into those things that, this thing and Mario's known for that, with the heart thing, and it's like, it ain't about you.
Yeah,
people ask me all the time, oh, how did Let's Get It On get in? And I can tell you the story how it came about. I was, gonna referee at UFC 2. Art Davies was the guy that created the UFC. He calls me up to his room, asks me, hey, I need you to start the fights with a hand gesture and a statement. I said, okay, what do you want? He goes, well, I don't know. You got to come up with it. Art, what do you want me to come up with? I don't know what to say or anything. He goes, oh, you've got to come up with something. I said, Art, I got one guy standing on one side of a cage and another. They want to beat the shit out of each other. I'm going to tell him, hey, are you ready? Let's get it on. He goes, that's what I want. I swear to God, that's how it started.
That's awesome. Okay, so iconic, right? So iconic. Yeah, just like
so iconic. That's how it started. And and then Semaphore Entertainment Group wanted it to get bigger, and they wanted me to say it louder. And so, these are all the things that are happening behind the scenes. And eventually, there was a time where I stopped, and promoters were getting mad at me for not saying it because they wanted it. And so then, look at near the end of the career, I would say, are you ready? Let's get on. Oh, yeah. I would not make a big thing about it because it was stupid. It was a matter of don't do anything that takes away from the two fighters. And when you're doing, signals or anything like that, I wish I had only started off saying fight. That's it. But it's not about you as the referee. If you're doing the things to gain attention, you're not doing things the right way.
There was buzz around a little bit, John, that that they don't use not Murgliata, but Mike Beltran because of his beard. Is that true?
Not anymore.
Oh, so they do use him now.
Well, he has been used, but again, it was the athletic commission bringing Mike, especially the California State Athletic Commission, was bringing Mike Beltran to work the UFCs. He worked your fight against Nate Diaz. That was his first time actually not working the UFC because he had judged it, but that was his first time refereeing. A main
card
on the main card. Yeah. Yes. And so, and it's grown, but Mike was actually just licensed by the Nevada State Athletic Commission as a referee, which was an outstanding, decision by the NSAC to bring in one of the better referees there is out there. And he's going to do a great job. And you will see him working more fights within the UFC based upon working with the Nevada State Athletic Commission. So,
yeah, I think the UFC, I understand their logic behind it. Is it like this stuff? okay, it's not like you said, it's not about the referee,
Nope.
but about the beard thing though, it's a little confusing because it's not like he just like put on a fake one to get more attention. I mean, that obviously took him a long time to do it. So he's not doing it to like garner attention. That's just who he is. And so that was a little weird to me. When I had heard rumblings through the back doors and stuff that people were talking about that. But I'm glad. He's a phenomenal referee. He's a phenomenal referee.
He is. He's a great guy, and
he is a great
guy. Deserved to be there long ago. But it's nice to see that he's in that position now.
I feel like we talk about him too much. We should not.
You do because you have this man crush.
He is the best referee there is in the business, hands down, best referee. I would say who's next is Diego Herzog. He's next. Poor Jason, he's gonna kill me. Jason's gonna be like, "What? My name is Jason Herzog."
Yeah, that's funny because the best part about that whole thing is you said Diego Herzog, and I started laughing, saying, "Who the hell would name Diego Herzog?" And there was a fighter in Bellator, and I actually refereed him.
And he trains out of AKA. Diego Herzog trains out of AKA. Good jiu-jitsu guy. He has a little small academy down, I think, in Morgan Hill area, man. It's a cool guy, too.
So
great,
funny.
cool guy, funny guy. Anyways, geez, what else is there?
I do just want to credit Bernardo Garay who asked about that. So I just want to make sure he gets
who was his name?
Our fan was Bernardo Garay who asked about the Yamasaki thing. So just want to make sure he gets. Do you guys have any thoughts or even input or feedback for Korean Zombie, who said he felt his career had crashed to rock bottom after the Brian Ortega fight, and so he was eating without control, and he gained 20 kilograms, which is I don't know how many pounds.
Whoa,
almost
20,
almost 50 pounds.
That's closing in. That's
47 pounds or something like that. 46, 47 pounds. Jeez,
well, he's no longer a featherweight. He's gonna be in the middleweight division.
Wow.
Oh, that's a lot.
I mean, I don't think he should have been upset with that fight. Brian came back a different fighter. So over the years of not being able to look back at what Brian used to be and what Brian is now, he's still has the same attributes in terms of his length, his reach, but he fought a different style of fight. And he's a different fighter now. He's progressed. He actually spent that time off making himself a different fighter. And it looks like a better fighter. We'll see when he fights Volkanovski if it ended up paying off against him and becoming champion. But I think he became a better fighter. He shouldn't be upset.
And it's also, Korean Zombie has put on so many great fights. You go back to the Leonard Garcia fights. And that first Leonard Garcia fight, holy bejesus, what a fight.
Yeah.
And he's had some great fights. The fight he had against Yair Rodriguez, that was a great fight. All the way up to the end. And he was winning.
Yeah.
Until that last shot. And that's what happens in fighting. But he has had so many incredible performances. Sometimes there's those guys, Josh, and it doesn't matter what. They just give you problems. Could be in sparring, could be in just training on rolling on the mat, could be in the fight. But it's just something about the way that they execute what they do. It causes you to hesitate. It causes you don't see it the same. They just give you problems. Yeah. And it could be that Brian Ortega was that guy for the Zombie in that fight.
Yeah, that's true. I had Zombie was winning, I believe 50-45 or something like that against Yair, and he got caught at the very end. I think one of the judges had him winning all 5 rounds.
He was winning the fight.
Yeah, he was winning. He won the 4 rounds before that, and he was winning that round. I don't know why. I guess he was trying to get that finish, but there was he was dominating the fight, and it's a shitty situation because he would have been on a 5-fight win streak up until he fought Brian. So. But I think he's just gonna dial it back down. He's gonna get real focused probably, and he's done.
Get back in the gym and just start getting after it, and the weight will come off. It'll come off fast if you're busy.
Yeah, I think he will. He'll be fine. Who knows? Maybe we'll see him at one fight at 155. Never know.
Maybe.
There was so I didn't see it. Somebody had posted. What's this? Reveals. Yeah. There was a fighter that had talked about he was commenting to young fighters about Max Holloway not sparring hard anymore. He's like, look, the reason why Max can get away with it, and this was a very good point. I can't remember. I just read it yesterday.
Peter Queally.
Peter Queally, yes.
Peter Queally said it. And he's right.
He's
He's totally right.
Young fighters don't think that you don't need to spar.
Don't think that you could just do that.
Yeah, that's not the case. The case is he spent countless hours and rounds sparring.
Thousands of
rounds of getting to the point where he is now, to where he doesn't need to. All he's got to do is just fine tune it up to maybe one session a week or maybe one every 2 weeks. He's done all the hard work. He's done it all. He's taken the shots to the head, taken the shots to the body. He's done all that. He doesn't need to abuse his body anymore, being at the level that he's at. And when he feels like he does, he can go back and go ahead and do it. But he's already mastered that part of kind of that area. You are not Max Holloway, people. You young kids, you young fighters. And that's what Peter Quilley was saying. I thought it was a very, very smart take on it. For young fighters to recognize and not think that they can be a Max Holloway by not putting in the sparring rounds.
Yeah, well, Peter Quilley is a guy that, sparring with the guys that he does out of, SBG in Ireland. He knows, you learn a lot when you spar, and you learn how to accept punishment. You learn how to return and be offensive off of someone. And you've got to get that, you got to be under fire in the gym and respond in the gym to know that you're going to do that same thing and respond in the fight, hopefully. And then you do that in the fight, but then you come back and you spar. But he's saying, yes, Max Holloway can be that guy, but you can't. You can't just think that you're going to go and you're going to be a fighter and not spar and you're going to do well in a fight. Be ready to be crushed.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely right.
I thought it was a good take from his perspective, as well as a fighter's perspective, for young fighters to understand that they can't be that way. Max has already put in all the hard work to get where he's at. So it was good. It was good to hear. The other thing I want to talk about is, Dave's flipping through it right now, is the Sean O'Malley situation with Casey Kenny and Sean O'Malley.
Go ahead.
Like, what the fuck are you thinking? Like,
dumb.
But here, look, I'm somebody that's definitely all for someone speaking their mind. Okay, whatever. And I understand. I just, look, you've got to have these conversations though. Joe Rogan for years talked about, DMT, talked about mushrooms, talked about weed. These are all things that were out there, but heroin is a different topic. Okay. These other things that Joe was talking about, these things now are starting to be used, but I don't understand the heroin aspect of what he was getting at. And then Casey Kenny jumping on the situation and adding the Megan Anderson or I wouldn't say compliments, but it
wasn't compliment.
No, it wasn't complimentary at all. It was the Megan Anderson. I was looking for the word derogatory remarks. It was absolutely disgusting. But as a promotion, this follows that guideline that they have that the fighters sign.
Oh, they could if they wanted. They
could cut them. They could.
Yes.
Yeah. These are in those. What is it called? It's the UFC has you sign. It's like the NFL has it too for their players, so they can fine them for any reason.
Code of conduct.
The code of conduct. There you go. Big words for me. Do you see something like that coming down on these two guys?
I think they're going to be talked to, and I think it's a matter of, this is where, and I'm going to talk about us right now. We have this podcast. And we get to say things. And a lot of guys, have a podcast and they'll have the funny guy. They'll have the guy that, the guy that's a little outlandish and kind of rails them in on the fight game and stuff. But you got to be at least smart in the subjects that you talk about. All right. And when you start talking about people and it's in any way derogatory, look, I don't care what any female fighter does outside of when they step in the cage. And if a female fighter and, people have talked about them, you could talk about Ronda Rousey. You could talk about Paige Van Zandt. You could talk about Chris Cyborg. You could talk about Megan Anderson. You could talk about, they all have taken pictures with photographers that people will say, oh, you're trying to be sexy. That's okay. That's their right.
Yeah.
You can either look at the picture or not, but to sit there and say, well, you deserve it based upon a picture. You deserve someone saying bad things about you based upon, well, you took a picture like this. All I can say is, people, you need to grow up. We need to all do better. I actually put a tweet out saying, hey, we need to do better. This is wrong. Megan Anderson, although I don't think she's going to beat Amanda Nunes, she's a good fighter. She's a tough woman, and she fights hard. and she doesn't deserve that. Now, people are going to say, well, she said things before. Stop. Don't sit there and try to give me, two rights make a wrong. They don't.
No.
Okay? You just need to do better. Be smarter.
Yeah, I get this is that whole I have to prove that I'm right situation. And it's been happening in our country for the last probably 6 to 8 years, maybe even longer than that. I mean, I'm sure it has been happening longer than that, but so really since I've started paying attention. It's like I have to prove to you that I'm right. And I see it all over Twitter. You get on Twitter and you get on Facebook, and it's like, let me show you this link. Let me show you pictures of this person. Look, what she does in her own time and takes pictures and posts on her social media is up to her and her business. Now, what you guys say on a podcast that is derogatory as well as talk about heroin while you're carrying a baby, okay, is look, that's your right. You go right ahead and do it. I'm just saying that later on in life, when you guys look back at this situation,
when you grow up,
you're going to look back and go, because I was very stupid like this. Okay.
So we all were.
I'm sure we all were. Yeah.
It's what we are. When you're young, you think you're so smart.
It's just when you get,
maybe not.
When you eventually have kids that get older, they're going to look back at their dad and be like, what the, like, really? Like that was my dad was cool. But then when your kid gets older to be 21 and 2 and he's 25, 28, and they realize they've matured, they're like, God, my dad was stupid when he was a kid. You know, and they may not want to be that way, which is good. But I'm saying, like, in this situation, in this scenario, I'm not saying to cut either one of them, but I'm saying that there needs to be a talking to, and on top of a talking to, I could see them potentially laying down fines. That's the point of them doing this, is this code of conduct contract. Is if that would have happened in the NFL, if that would have happened in the NBA, you're talking probably over $100,000, maybe $500,000 fine. This is where this is what sets us apart from the better sport. I won't say better sports, but the more paying sports, the higher paying sports, is things like this. Is that this is what keeps us in the politicians' eyes of that we're just a bunch of cavemen fighting, Neanderthals and cavemen fighting in cages. This is what they look at. They look at this. Look at this kid. Look at the two of them talking about degrading this female who's also a fighter. This is what's going to keep.
She's a peer.
Yep.
She's the same as you.
Yep.
And you're going to degrade her. It's like,
well, she's actually better because she's actually fighting for the title.
For the championship.
Yeah, she's fighting for the title, and neither one of these guys are. Yeah. So she's actually better.
She did say that O'Malley's fighting on the same card as her in March. Do you guys remember when Rachel Ostovich?
No, stop. Oh. It's not O'Malley. It would be Casey Kenny fighting on the same card.
Yeah.
No problem.
Well, I was just going to say, do you guys remember when the Rachel Ostovich thing happened and they pulled Greg Hardy from the card? Do you think there's potential the UFC could pull Casey Kenny from the card as a way to kind of...
He's fighting Dominic Cruz. I mean...
He's fighting Dominic, so, man, that's a tough one to pull.
Tough one to pull. I'm just saying, looking at it from a business point of view, you need to have another name on there. So they're going to have to replace it with another name to try and get eyes to that. Because not a lot of people are going to tune in to watch Amanda Nunes fight Anderson.
And you're going to have to get someone that fights very similar to Casey. So Dom would take the fight because he's been training for a specific guy. So tough.
It would be smart on their part to replace Casey Kenny.
Or push the fight to another card.
As simple as it gets. I'm gonna just put it out there. Casey Kenny, the next time someone asks you a really dumbass question, go, that's a stupid question. Or go, you know what? I would be so lucky that Megan Anderson or any MMA fighter that's female out there would even give me a second look, so I don't even think about those things.
Yeah, I actually looked at Casey Kenny. He's not a good-looking guy.
And now you're going to face the consequences of that.
What is he like? He's like, what, 5'1"?
Oh,
we're talking about height these days.
Now we're going to have the whole height thing going on.
No, he's not. He's like 5'6".
He's like 5'5".
I don't even know. Who cares? He's 5'7".
Just be smart.
Yeah.
Do better.
No. All right.
Let's go. Next one.
Something else.
So Cody Garbrandt just recently had talked about how he lost his passion for fighting once he got to, because his goal was to get to the title, and once he got to the title, he got complacent. And now obviously he's kind of at that turning point. And so that was just kind of more news that came out this week as he talked about it. What's your face about?
My face about this is because saying stick around, and when saying stick around is because they are true. Yep. So when fighters say that it's easier to win the title than it is to keep it, this is exactly what happens. You win the title and you just think, I've done it. What else am I doing? And you get complacent, and not just complacent. You just start to lose desire to, I don't got to do that. I can do this, and I can travel and do this, and I can go to the club and spend more money. Because now I've done all these things. I'm just being, you see it in boxing all the time, how they just start spending money frivolously and then they end up broke. Same thing with a lot of the pro athletes. They win the Super Bowl, or they sign a big, huge contract to make as much money as they, in their mind, had thought they would want it to make. And then they end up being broke because they spend it all on dumb shit. I'm not saying that this is common. This is very common. There's a lot of fighters that have won championships, whether it's boxing or MMA, and they're like, I've reached my goal. I have nothing else to do. It's harder to keep it. It's just harder to keep it.
Well, it all comes down to that. Hey, dream it, see it, believe it, achieve it. Right? And you have a goal, you have a target, and you have a specific target. When Cody Garbrandt was fighting, he had a specific target. Dom Cruz was the champion, and he could focus. Every time he went in the gym, he could focus on, this is what I'm doing to get better, so I can go after that guy, so I can go after that title. And you have that. It's laser-like, man. You can just see exactly where you want to be. And then when you get there, now you're the guy with the target. Everyone's got a target on you, and you've got to figure out, and I've said it before, you've got to figure out what is going to be your motivation to make you get back in that gym and do the same things you were doing before now as champion. You've got to have that thing that okay, this is my goal now. This is what is my inspiration. This is what I want to achieve. And if it is, I want to win the title, and then you win it, you're not going to hold on to it long, because it's tough to motivate yourself to do that same kind of training that you were doing before. It just tends to, you've got an endorsement deal. Oh, you got to go and you're going to do a signing or something. And those things start to take the place of the training. And that's what got you there.
That's a big reason why when we talked about it, we caught some flack last week about it. When we talked about the Conor situation, he's made all this money. You don't understand how much stuff that he is committed to outside of just his, okay, I have time now to go ride the bike for 40 minutes. Like before all this happened, all he did was eat, sleep, fighting, and just eat, sleep, and eat, fighting, just fighting. It's like, go to the gym, do this. Now it's like, wait, I got to go do the proper whiskey thing. Wait, I got to go do the August McGregor thing. Wait, I got to go do some meetings with, for some new deals. Then I got to go run for 45 minutes. Then I got to come back, and then I got to do this meeting. There's no rest in between these. And I can see that, like with Cody's, you get to your level now. Okay, what do I do? Okay, Conor's gotten to his level. Now, how do I maintain it? How do I stay sharp, taking time off? And how do I stay? It's hard, man. There's a bunch of different ways, a bunch of different things eating at you to stay on top. And everyone's gunning for you at the top as well. They're all just like, that's my goal. That's my goal. The person who is starving is more hungry than the person who's already been fed at the top. That's the hardest part, And so I think Cody, also too, a little bit of it is the Cody maturity. He's got a baby. He's married. Like he's got a lot of things that have happened to him since then. And I think he'll get back on track. He's already on track. I think he's just, more focused. I think once he understands that he doesn't need to be coaxed into the brawls, he's fast and he's good, and if he can maintain that, control that temper a little bit, and I think he could be champion again. So what else?
Want to hop into fan questions?
Yeah, we're going to jump on a couple fan questions. We owe you guys quite a few fan questions for all the likes, the thumbs ups, and all those things. Also, go to mybookie.ag, mybookie.com. I was about to say something else.
Do this. Rub it so it gets warm, dude.
It's early in the morning here, buddy. It was early in the morning here, okay? My software shut off a little bit ago. We go to
one of the greatest online betting things you can do, mybookie.ag or .com. Awesome people.
Use the promo code weighing in. You get another 50% of your initial deposit. Look, the Super Bowl is this weekend coming up. So if you guys have it, yes, exactly. If you guys
Tom Brady.
What are you talking about?
You like those guys wearing red and
Come
gold.
on, Patrick Mahomes, horrible. Baby. Patrick Mahomes. All the way. Let's go. Go to mybookie.ag. Use the promo code weighing in. You get 50% of your initial deposit. So if you guys plan on betting on the Super Bowl, it's a great time to do it. Jump
Gotta
in.
put in at least $100 for that one.
Got to put in at least $100, and then you
got 150.
You got 150. You put in 1,000.
See how I'm doing the math for you?
Thank God someone is. That's why I always use the same one. If you put $1,000 in, you get another $500. It's $1,500 you get to spend. 500 of that will be their money that they're giving you to spend. So coming up with Super Bowl weekend, promo code is weighing in. Make sure you type that in so you get that 50% extra of money to gamble with. That's it.
And in that one, you can bet on anything, like who does the first field goal, who gets the first punt, is someone can get the first down.
Yeah.
And you know it's going to be Brady.
Gosh, this guy.
I got to push the button, dude.
Just because the Tennessee Titans didn't make it past the opening round. Okay.
They made it past the opening round. You're a liar now.
Did they?
Yes.
Who'd they beat? Who'd they win?
Man, I can't believe that you would say that.
Who did they beat?
They happened to lose to the Baltimore Ravens, but they won the game before that and did an outstanding job.
It must have been against a nobody because you can't tell me the team.
I can't remember.
You can't even tell me the team. It was against a nobody.
It's not fighting. I can't remember.
It was probably against one of those teams that barely got in. They had a below 500 record.
Oh, there you go.
It probably was.
Didn't the Buffalo Bills do well?
They're in it right now. They were in it last week.
I say, no, they're not in it.
Yeah,
your team happened to beat them.
I don't know.
Last
My
week.
girl talks
My
about
team
it.
smashed them.
New York team.
My team's going to smash everybody.
Oh.
For the next 10
Let's
years.
Let's go Bucks.
Jeez, calm down. If he beats Tom Brady, I want you guys to put some spec on his name. You got to put some respect on that name. Some respect on my boy's name, Patrick Mahomes. Okay. Anyways.
All right,
let's get into these fan questions.
All right. This was the most liked question, the most thumbs up question that we had. So I'm gonna give you this one first, John. You may have answered this before, but it was very popular, so I had to do it again. Shantanu Sengupta. That was pretty good, wasn't it?
Okay.
He wants to know, what was John's reaction when Nick Diaz laid in front of Anderson Silva and taunted him?
That was one of those moments you just look at, oh, you got to be shit. That was that fight was put together and they were expecting fireworks. They were expecting them both to come out, and Anderson was respecting Diaz and wanting Diaz to come and throw so he could counter, and Diaz wasn't throwing and Anderson wasn't throwing. And when you all of a sudden Nick Diaz flops on the ground and goes into his beach pose on the thing, right? And I look at it, get up, right? Because if the guy steps back away from you, then the referee has to make him get up. So I get up and he's like, why don't you make him get down with me, John? Right? And it's like, because I can't. It's just the way the rules are, dude. And that was just Nick. I enjoyed Nick Diaz as a fighter. I enjoyed watching him. I enjoyed refereeing his fights. He was always, he'd come up with stuff. He would say stuff and did things that nobody else would do. And that was just another moment for Nick Diaz. He was quite special.
But you can't
make special in a fun way for me. I loved him.
You can't make him get up though. Like he could have butt scooted towards.
No, can't do it. That comes back. Okay, all right. You know the butt scoot rule?
No, I don't.
See,
I know we can't do it. I know we can't do it. But
okay, that all came back. There was a fight, and Murillo. If you remember Murillo Bustamante, Bustamante, people will say, and he fought Tom Erickson. And Tom Erickson, I want to say it was one of his first fights. It might have been his first, but he was fighting in this show called Mars Reality, mixed martial arts reality super fights. And it was the one that Renzo Gracie fought Oleg Tatarov and knocked him up.
Got it.
Up kick. But you had the fight with Tom Erickson, a Olympic wrestler, super heavyweight, against, Murillo Bustamante, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. And it was one of the most horrible fights because Tom Erickson quickly realized, I don't want to be on the ground with this guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing. I've got him pinned and it's not working. Right. Yeah. And so he's standing up. Murillo I don't want a 290-pound guy punching me.
Yeah.
And so he's going on the ground. He's butt scooting. And we looked at that and said, all right, this is bad for the sport. It's bad for people as far as watching. So if we have this situation where the person who's standing, they have control of the fight, we will say, and if they press on him, we'll let it stay on the ground. But if they start moving away and the guy starts butt scooting or anything like that, you must get up. So that was the rule. That's the fight it came from.
Good idea on get rid of that. Good idea.
John, was there any part of you that because as Nick does it, you kind of like look like you're like, what the heck? As if like maybe he passed out. Is there any part of you that thought maybe like something like that happened?
No, there was no part of me that thought that Nick was hurt or anything. I thought Nick is being nuts and saying, look, I'll just lie on the ground because you don't want to come down here with me. And he was right, awesome. But he is awesome. I thought at the time, a lot of people think that I'm so, serious and stoic, and I am when I'm refereeing. That's my job. And I'm not supposed to show any type of, emotion. But inside, I'm like, I'm laughing my ass off going, you crazy fuck.
John's a bully. John's a bully in the cage.
Oh, man, listen to you.
He is.
You snowflake bitch.
I was just laughing at you like would grab. I remember he would grab. I remember you move me like you like push or grab the arm or move like, get back here. No, over here. It's like, calm down, buddy. Calm down.
Calm down, man. I'll start hitting you.
Calm down. Calm down. Then if I started hitting him, he would just fall on me. Ooh, boom. Kill me.
Fight's over.
All right, give us another one.
All right. The Black Napoleon wants to know, to both Josh and John, the most uncomfortable you've ever felt in the cage. What was happening, why, and when?
The Black Napoleon, he must be like, what, 4'11"? 4'11", black guy, 4'11".
But he's powerful, man.
But he is powerful.
He's got a major army behind him.
That's
All right,
awesome.
Let's go.
What was the question?
He wants to know the most uncomfortable you ever felt in the cage, when it was, why it was, and what was going on.
The most uncomfortable I ever felt in the cage. Oh, shit. I don't even know. I'd have to think. What do you think? You go first. Let me see if I can think of.
Hey, dude, UFC 2. Come on, man. It's the beginning, and I have no fucking clue at all what I'm doing. And honest to God, this is where it comes down to. The very first fight, Sean Dougherty versus Scott Morris. Last like 30 seconds, ends with him taking down, neck crank, taps out. I go, all right, cool. Next one is Pat Smith against Ray Wizard, and he guillotine chokes him. And I see when he goes out, I'm going, stop it. Let's go. And I go, this is going to be easy. Yeah. This is great. I got this. And from that point forward, it was a nightmare for me. And it was my most uncomfortable time in the cage.
Oh, I got to say mine was probably my last fight against Patricky. It just was uncomfortable. I was telling you guys this story probably a couple weeks back, that in the back, it was the first time I ever felt like a little bit of anxiety going into a fight. Every fight before that, I loved it. I had that like, I can't wait to get in there, that feeling. But for some reason, just that fight, I think, and I was kind of getting it. I was feeling that fights before that. I think even before the Tony fight, I think it was the Bobby Green fight. I kind of started feeling that, a little bit of that. Just like, it didn't feel the same, like in the back warming up, in the loading area, especially, it wasn't that same excitement of like, yeah, let's do this. 15 minutes, 30 or 25 minutes, whatever fight it would have been. I didn't have that anymore. And it became, and then the one that stuck out the most was the last fight, was Patricky. That's why let me
ask you a question on this, because that fight was bumped up to the main event that night.
Yeah. Based
upon Matt Mitrione and Fedor were supposed to fight.
Yeah.
And Matt Mitrione got kidney stones and ended up in the hospital. Did that in any way change anything for you?
No. No, I'd been in the main event several times, and I know
that. That's why I was asking.
It wasn't that. I was actually, I think that kind of made it a little bit more exciting for me, but
okay.
I just know. I think it really was just my time. It was the time of like, it didn't feel the same anymore. Didn't feel the same. And I think that was probably the most uncomfortable I ever felt in there. And it made it even more like weird for me. It was in San Jose. And I always knew in San Jose, I was like, this is home to me. Like,
hometown.
I never feel this. That's the thing. I guess for me to go, the other probably time I felt a little bit more uncomfortable was like, I was fighting KJ. I think we fought in San Diego. Maybe it was San Diego. No, maybe it was Ohio. Anyways, I can't remember where I fought KJ. I think we fought in Ohio. Maybe Ohio. Anyways, I didn't feel great going into that fight. The weight cut was okay. It was a little, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't the anxiety-ness of it all. So I wasn't feeling it quite. The Patricky fight was the time where I just didn't feel like
Didn't feel like being there.
This is home. This is home. Why do I feel like this? This isn't right. What's going on? And it didn't feel like being there, kind of thing. What else?
All right. The next question comes from Paul Mencos. And he has one for both of you guys. Big John, what dream matchup would you come out of retirement to ref again?
I mean, if it was my choice, I mean, there's so many fights I would love to referee because I enjoyed it and I enjoyed being in charge of the fights. But if you was going to say one matchup that was possible, everyone would think it would be Khabib versus GSP, but I would not want to do that fight, to be honest.
You'd want to sit at home and watch it.
I would rather just, let somebody else do it because I think I know what's going to happen. Yeah. And I don't want to be the guy that's part of that. Honestly, I know that's weird. It was the same as, when BJ Penn came back against Yair Rodriguez. I did not want that fight. I got it and I had to do it, but I was like, people think referees are stupid, and okay, maybe we are, but we do understand fighting and we understand a lot about, who's facing who and what's going on. And it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to pick, but especially when you go in the back and you talk to fighters, you get a pretty good sense of where they're at. And man, I did not want to do that fight, but it happens. But if I was going to say I could pick one fight and say, this is the fight I want to do, and it's a guy that doesn't like me, John Jones against Israel Adesanya. That would be fun.
Would be a good fight.
That would be a good fight.
Is it because you'd want to find a way to make John Jones lose? Let a headbutt slide.
I did a lot of John's fight, never lost. Yes. So you can say what they want, but it's a matter of you look at styles and the way you think the fight's going to be, and being able to control certain things because they both don't like each other and they've said a lot. So that adds another element to it, which is fun for me, and it's cool because it's like let's see what you try to do.
Yeah. I lean more towards the other way with I'd like to see you ref the Francis Ngannou and John Jones fight.
That would be good too.
Only because I would like to see if there is a stoppage, you having to pull one of those guys off the other one. They're both enormous. Oh, God, that would be great.
Francis is big.
Yes.
He is a big man. So.
All right. Paul's also asking Josh, if life was Nintendo, what fight would you restart?
If life was the Nintendo, what fight would I restart? The Yves Edwards fight. Yeah, for sure. Because I knew I was winning the fight. I would probably just I'd reevaluate how, if I was a couple years older, just how I would have approached that whole situation scenario. We talked about that a little bit last week. And so if you guys haven't seen the show from last week, go back. I had a lot to say about it because I was on Yves' podcast and we talked about it. We did the breakdown throughout the fight. So it was pretty cool. We watched the fight. We talked about it throughout the fight. So it was cool.
But it's only one moment and one mistake that'll change a fight.
Oh, yeah.
How many times? That is just what happens. And that's what makes fighting what it is. That's why it's fun.
Paul also asked me, Podcast Dave, who's easier to work with, Josh or John? And I'll just confirm that it's John all day, every day.
I give Podcast Dave just about 99% less crap.
Yeah. That's because he's 3,000 miles away. I got to see John a lot more, so I understand.
Anyway. That dude wants to know, Masvidal versus Covington, will it happen in 21? Who wins? Love the show, guys.
I think George wins. I think it's gonna be a tough fight, but I think it does happen in 2021. I think it'll probably won't happen though until there's fans back. If they did do a show, it'd probably be in Florida because that's where, aren't they both in Florida?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, they're both in Florida, so I could see it happening there in Florida. Maybe it gives them a reason to go back to Miami. They haven't been back to Miami, right? They've been to Orlando.
But who would Donald Trump root for? Colby or George?
He would just be sitting front row. He'd probably be sitting front row going, get him. I mean, I think
both of these guys are tremendous. Yep. They're outstanding.
Yep. Just I want to see both of them win bigly. Bigly. I think it's gonna, if it does happen, it'll happen in Florida. That'd be smart on their part to do that fight there. I think it does happen. I think George wins.
Easily?
I wouldn't say easily. It's gonna be a hard fought fight. George's gonna have to get up probably 6 to 10 times. He's gonna have to get up off the ground.
I don't see it being easy at all. In fact, I think George is at a deficit in that fight. He's got the stand up is in his corner, no doubt. The wrestling is in Colby's, but the conditioning and the gas tank are definitely in Colby's.
Yes. Yep. I agree. I think I don't know though. I think if you put Colby hasn't changed at all. If you watch the Tyron Woodley fight, he's still the guy that fought Kamaru Usman. And not that George has changed a whole lot, but I think he's going to go ahead and he's going to attack that calf kick. And I think by the 3rd and 4th round, Colby ain't going to have the same wrestling pedigree.
I'm not saying you're wrong. And look, in my opinion, Masvidal with his striking, he definitely has the advantage there. Yeah. Big time. Because Masvidal, people don't realize how slick he is.
Oh, gosh.
In the stand-up game. He is so slick. And you know, you can watch and people talk about like Colby and Kamaru and saying, well, look, Colby did a totally different level of, take a look at the fight that Kamaru Usman brought to fight when he fought, you know, Masvidal, and Masvidal was coming in on a week and a half's notice, pushing him up, making his arms heavy, doing all the things that we talk about that you do to take a striker and degrade their ability to land the big shot. He did all those things. He didn't worry about that with Colby because Colby doesn't have that power. And not having power against Masvidal is a problem, because if there's one thing that Masvidal can do, he can take a shot. And if you can't hurt him, you can't make him respect your stand-up, he's a dangerous dude.
Yeah. And I think Kamaru is bigger than Colby, like height-wise, frame-wise, all those things. Yeah, just frame-wise. So when you talk about the two, like Masvidal is a big guy himself. I mean, not for 170, but I think him and Colby are about mutually the same size, I think.
You know, one time, he was a 155er, but he's put on the pounds where he's at the limit of being able to make 170 now. So
that's pretty awesome. Yep. I like him. I mean, I root for him because he's an old Strikeforce guy. So that's why.
He's a great guy. Coming from Kimbo Slice. Come on. Backyard brawls.
All right, I'll let you guys end on this one. This was another really popular fan question, and it's a lengthy one, so it's asking both of you guys. So, 9 Fernando Torres asks, most MMA promotions judge fights round-wise using the 10 points must system, whereas Pride in the past and One at present day judge MMA fights in the entirety. Big John, pros and cons of both systems. Would judging fights in the entirety favor a specific fighter type and uneven the playing field? And then I'll go to your second, Josh.
Yeah, there's a complete difference, and if you're going to take a look at those two forms of judging a fight, it just depends on the fight. There's fights where I would say I wish they were using the Pride system, based upon a guy losing the first, but losing it close. But he would have lost the first round and he would have lost the second round. But he comes on in the third round and he puts it on his opponent. And that's where you go, the 10-point must system really doesn't take the spirit of the fight and bring it into play. It's basic math and, very black and white. And so the fans aren't happy with who wins that fight in that 3-round fight. But there are fights that I can tell you that the Pride system is bullshit, because a guy does fantastic in the first round and fantastic in the second round and then gets tired and loses the third, and it's what they remember, and they give the fight to the guy that doesn't deserve it. So, it goes both ways. There's no perfect. And do I think that the scoring system needs to be elevated and changed and brought up to the evolution of what we see of the sport of MMA? Absolutely. And I've talked to people about it and tried to kind of make it happen. And right now it ain't going to happen. I'm just telling you.
Yeah. I think when you look at the Pride situation, their circumstances and how they did their judging, you have to remember that there was a lot of Yakuza money involved in that as well.
Yes, there was.
That skewed a lot of how fights were actually judged as well. Not all fights. I'm not going to say it was all, but there was some fights in there. You're like, what the fuck were you watching? Like, the guy won the last 2 minutes. And all of a sudden he won the 15-minute fight. There's just no way, man. There's no way. But you got to remember there was a lot of other outside influences
outside forces.
Yeah, that we're influencing the outcome. So that as far as the 10-point must system, I like it, but I'd like to see a half point system. That would make a big difference on how these fights end up happening. So I think, look, the 10-point must system is not perfect, but in terms of what we do it for, I think I'd lean more towards that way. But I also like the idea of the half point system. So then fights are a lot closer. If you won, like you said, if the first round was so close, now is 10 and a 9.5. That's fine, and then the guy the next round gets a 10 and 9. So then it's you're back in whoever wins the third. So it kind of works out. I think I like that system a little bit more. But like you said, it ain't happening right now.
Yeah, and so the second part was just, would you prefer it to be judged entirely, or would you prefer it to be judged by round?
No, I want the half point. I want the half point system.
Josh doesn't want anything that we do currently. He wants his own system,
I want my own
and
system.
I don't blame him.
Yeah.
I don't blame him.
Yeah. All right, what else you got? Nothing?
For fun questions.
Well, hey, guys, we wanted to thank you guys so much that what we did today was we pulled some strings. We were able to get a guest on. We pulled a couple screens. We were able to get a guest on. So, John, without further ado, because you do the best introductions ever.
Well, I don't know about that, but for this guy, when you take a look at, the accomplishments in the combat sports world, because no one ever even goes back and looks at what this guy accomplished in the world of kickboxing, in the world of the Chuck Norris World Combat League. He even fought there. He comes from a family of pure fighters. His dad was a stud, and we were lucky enough to have the Wonderboy, Stephen Thompson, one of the top welterweight fighters in the world, and he was awesome to talk to. All right, now we are lucky enough to have one of the best welterweight fighters in the world, a guy who basically was the second revolution of bringing karate into mixed martial arts right beyond Lyoto Machida, but actually extended it in a different way. What is up, Wonderboy? How you doing, Stephen?
What's up, y'all? Man, glad to be on with you guys.
How's that voice coming along, buddy?
Oh man, it's killing me. It's killing me. Been yelling at kids. We had a 5-hour junior black belt exam. So, and then extreme dodgeball tournament after that, like the next day. My voice is gone. But please bear with me. I could not talk with you guys. So I appreciate y'all having me on.
So I saw some videos you've posted of you playing dodgeball with the kids, and you're Mr. No Mercy, buddy. No mercy for these kids.
Dude, you were Nolan Ryaning them, man.
I was.
Fastballs.
These kids have been playing this game since they were 3 years old. So they got some cannons. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. If I take them lightly, they're going to smoke me. And, it's part of their training. It's part of the body conditioning. Taking a dodgeball to the face, part of their conditioning process,
What do the parents say if you do catch them in the face, or when one kid catches another kid in the face? What do they say?
They don't say a dang thing. They don't. They tell them to suck it up is what they say. You'll be all right. Suck it up.
That's awesome.
So it's funny. It's funny. When you come to our gym, we've been in business for 38 years. This is the gym that I grew up in. Me and my brothers and sisters, we grew up there. Like we lived there. We kind of had no say so growing up. Martial arts was part of our lives. And until we could make our decision, or our own decisions, what my dad thought we could make our own decisions, which was like 18, 19 years old, it was mandatory in the house. We were training. So when these kids and parents kind of come in, they kind of get the vibe of how everything rolls, right? So on the mat is my spot. We've had parents try to come out on the mat to try and, I guess, coddle their kid. We tell them, no, this is our mat. You need to hop off the mat. We'll take care of it. So they learn real quick what it's about. And they love it, man. They love it.
That's good. I mean, how big is your program there?
Oh man, we got about 750 students. We take them as young as 3, and our oldest student is 75.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah, we got our biggest program is our kids program, our karate program.
Of course.
We have MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a fitness MMA class as well. We do it all, man. It's awesome.
Your oldest student is 3 or 4 years younger than John here.
I knew he was going to say it.
I knew it. 3 or 4 years younger than John. It's crazy to think that John's 79 years old and still able to walk.
Wild.
It's crazy. Yeah. He doesn't look a day over.
Steven, you can ask him what happens when he tries to take me down and stuff. Go ahead, go ahead.
So Big
Mr.
John,
Fighter.
his there's no sprawl. He just falls like a tree, just
falls on you.
Put him against Cage, sitting there hitting him, and he's like, "No,
I'm stuck. It's
he's like, "That's what you get."
Yeah,
That's what you get.
he's so heavy, man. So
Mr.
heavy.
Fighter,
Like a tree that just fell. Timber. I shot a single leg on him one time, goofing around, and I got to start to get to the leg.
It was a mistake.
No, and he just
took
fell.
it to another level. He took it to another level. You were kidding around.
Yes.
Big John McCarthy probably took it to another level.
He did. There was just I was over here laughing, having a good time, and John no. He showed me the hips and just sprawled on me. And I thought it was a sprawl. He really just fell. What it was.
According to you, now it is.
That's great.
I'm giving him a little extra credit. I'm assuming that he knows what a sprawl was. He's just like,
oh yeah.
He went to move
it's funny because the last time I saw you, we were zombies.
Yes, we were. Yes.
In California, we were zombies.
Nothing has changed for Josh.
Yeah, nothing's changed. I still walk through life like a zombie, buddy. No, it's funny, it's because how long did we spend? Like hours in those chairs to get the makeup done.
Yeah.
And remember how cold it was?
It was freezing. Freezing. We had all the wet makeup on, who was it? Tim Kennedy was out there setting everything up for the zombie.
Oh, this was for Range 15.
Range 15.
Got it.
Yep.
Yeah, but we were out there.
What a high level movie that was.
It was good though. It was good in terms of it was good in terms of what it did though. It was good. Randy was in it. Keith Jardine was in it. Yourself, Phil Davis, myself. We had a great time on set that day. It was fun.
Hanging out, man, and hang out with some vets too. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. We got there at 5 a.m. Remember we got there at 5. It was freezing. And then remember later on in the day, it was so hot. And we had to run down that hill, and there was the sawdust and the dust and the dirt got in our fake blood. And it was stuck to us. I mean, it took me probably a good, 45 minutes to an hour to get it off.
To get that off.
Yeah.
100%. I was back in my hotel, just trying to scrub that thing off. It took me longer. For sure. Because the next day I had to leave at 4 a.m. Or something like that to get back home. But yeah, that's the last time I saw you.
Yeah. How things have been good though. Things seem like they've been very good for you since then. That was when you first made the cut down to 70. That was when you first came down to 70. I was like, man, this guy is ripped, dude. How was he fighting at 85? And then I remembered right then at that moment, I was like, oh wait, you're making that cut to 70. And so it was right around 70, that time.
And it was, I think it was before. Was it before or after I was in the UFC? I don't remember. It might have been after, maybe after the Matt Brown fight.
You were already in the UFC.
Okay.
Yeah, you were already in the UFC.
Gotcha. I think it was after the Matt Brown fight. Is when that happened. So my second fight in the UFC for sure.
Yeah, because you fought your first fight was at 185, correct?
No, it was 170.
170 in the UFC.
Yep.
Was it really?
Always been 170.
Then what fight was it that I saw you threw the right hand and the head kick came right after? I thought that was at 185.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that. You do not throw a right hand and throw a right head kick. That is wrong. You tell everybody throughout your time teaching martial arts, don't do that. That's wrong.
John is not flexible enough to do that. That is why.
That's true.
That's true.
That's what they want you to think.
Yes.
That's what they want you, because they don't want you to hit them with it, is why they tell you that.
Oh, man. Yeah, I thought that was at 185. That was at 170.
No, it was 170.
Oh, wow.
Sure was.
Man,
was
geez.
170.
Sorry, buddy.
It was Dan Stidgen. It was a guy who fought Dan Stidgen. I was the first fight on that card. And that was probably one of my most, that was probably my favorite UFC memory, because MC Hammer, yes, Hammer Time, walked me to the venue, just chatting away with my mom.
Yeah.
And then he was kind of part of our management company at the time.
Wow.
MC Hammer was. And then GSP was in my corner for that fight.
Wow.
He was my inspiration to switch from kickboxing to MMA, and done a lot of training with him. So he was in my corner for that fight. It was pretty cool. Pretty epic.
That's awesome. GSP I've talked to him a couple times. I don't know him per se, but he seems like such a great guy. And you see all the interviews.
Sweet guy, man.
Seems like a great guy. Exactly what
really
you get.
Is.
He's exactly what you get when you see in the media or you talk to him. He seems like the same exact person. Nothing really seems like it changes and strays too much far apart. Seems like a great guy.
He's the one thing. Let's talk about him for a second. He's a true martial artist. Everything
Peace.
about his lifestyle is that way. But
Yes, sir.
let me ask you, being a guy that knows him well, he was thinking about coming back and fighting Khabib. I was looking at saying, don't do it. Please don't do it.
I was too.
How did you feel? Okay.
The same. Because, to him, it was, okay, I might. If you're not 100% into it, then you shouldn't fight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how you're going to get, I think, potential for injury. If you're going into the fight, I guess, half-ass. You got to be 100% mentally there if you're going to go out there and scrap with somebody. He knows that. So, I just didn't want him to have the big wig, the guys pushing him to make that fight happen if he doesn't want to make that fight happen. Because, like I said, if you're not 100% in it mentally, physically, emotionally, you shouldn't do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I looked at it, and Khabib and Josh, they're teammates, and he's worked with him so many times, and he's so good. And it's just you can't just make this something that you do part-time.
Right.
You have to be all in, and you have to be doing it, even though he works out all the time. I know that, but it's just different.
Well, it is different.
It wasn't so much, sorry to interrupt, but it wasn't so much in terms of that I wanted to see the fight. Of course, I wanted to see that fight, but I also wasn't sure if I wanted to see a 40-year-old GSP fight a young guy in his prime who's a savage, and I've seen him go against guys at 170 that were 3-time, national champs in college wrestling. I've seen him go against top level wrestlers as far as on the Olympic ladder as well. And I'm not saying that he can smash them and beat them every time, but he's getting his takedowns. And I know that GSP's got a wrestling background as well, but at 40 years old, you're not the same person you were when you were 32 and 33. The other thing that concerned me about them potentially fighting is that with GSP, everyone has the utmost respect for him. And I don't want them to have that look in terms of him after, if he was to lose that fight, oh, he was really nobody. He wasn't that good. That's not true. Yeah. That's not true at all. And I like both of them. They have a mutual respect for each other as well, which was nice. But what weight were they going to fight at? Were they going to fight at 70? Were they going to fight at 65? Now I'm getting a 40-year-old depleted GSP if he fights at 65. Yeah. There was a lot of questions. It didn't seem, if they were going to fight at 70, I would say, okay, I give GSP more of a chance, but just being younger. And it was kind of a toss up. It's just at 40 years old, it's a lot. It's a lot to put on your plate to come back and do what he was trying to do.
But even then, I bet you a 170 Khabib is even more of a savage than a 155 Khabib. I mean, I hear sometimes he walks around over 200 pounds.
There had been times. I think now he's been keeping himself.
There have been rumors.
There has been times, but also too, he has now really I think after the Ali Quinta fight, he really put his weight in check. It was more of he had a nutrition with him all the time. He made sure that he was keeping things on track. I think also too, the time that those last months that he spent not just with his father, but also he seemed a lot more focused on what his life was meant to be, what his life was meant to be now. So, and the way
Khabib just treats guys, man, and when he's out there, he doesn't make it fun for his opponent at all. Like he smashes people. And I've seen GSP, after a pretty close fight, he doesn't wear it very well.
No,
he doesn't wear it. I mean, his face is banged up. He's taken a lot of punishment, and that's how Khabib fights. He's not that one hitter quitter, knock you out type of guy. He grinds you and makes you give up, and like mentally, he makes you just quit, just give up out there.
Yeah. And
I didn't want that for him. And on top of that, it's like, why at this point? There's no reason for GSP to come back and try and, at least hurt your legacy. If that, like BJ Penn. BJ Penn came back, and I think it did worse for his legacy than anything else, right? If he would have retired and stayed retired, I would be looking at him differently now.
Do you put Conor in that same category right now after his fight last week?
I don't think so. I mean, I kind of agree where he's at. Like, the UFC is not letting him compete. He's their cash cow, and you're going to fight once a year, and it's going to be a big card, and we're going to get millions of dollars for it. He's mentioned in the past he's wanted to compete, but they wouldn't let him. Want to stay active and keep getting better in the octagon, but once a year is just, he thinks it's not enough. And you could tell it, his last fight, he just didn't move like he normally does. he's not on his toes. His
style was completely different.
Right.
He looked like a boxer. He did not look like the mixed martial artist that we all have watched be very effective with a stand-up karate style, very similar to yours. Uses his kicks, basically no kicks.
None. And his opponent, I mean, that low calf kick was there all day because he was just plodding forward. So it was there. Normally he's in and out, it makes it hard for his opponent to beat on that front leg, but it was there every time.
Well, what made the difference, I think, for the front leg was that they're both southpaw. So that front leg was now susceptible to being kicked. When he fights other fighters, majority of the fighters he's fought have been conventional. So that it's more of an inside leg kick. And that's why his style works so well, is he's so used to that, checking that inside leg kick and countering with the straight left down the pipe and then the right hook and then finishing with the kick or coming back with another straight left. That's been like his token moves since he's been in the game, in terms of this. But then now you fight a good guy who fights left-handed, who's also southpaw, and he's able to tear up that lead leg. That's not something he was prepared for. He talked about it in the press conference.
Yeah, and somebody who's been in there with you before.
Yeah,
he kind of knows you a little bit. So I agree, man. I agree with both you guys. So we'll see. I hear maybe the fight might be happening again. We don't know.
Well, here's the other thing too: is I look at when you were talking about they're not only letting him fight maybe once a year. There's a couple reasons I think for the casual fan at home or for people that just don't understand that is because they can't afford right now during COVID to give that up, that amount of money to pay. So they had some fans pay this time. But on top of it as well is that you also don't want to lose. If you have him fight twice in a year, it's almost like going to the same venue twice in a year. Yeah. Now people don't buy the tickets. They're like, oh, I'm going to watch him fight next time. It's almost like you've got that hot commodity. Let's do it once a year. And then, okay, when next time he fights, this might be the last one. This might be the last time he fights. And that's what they're doing. They're doing like, hey, I don't want to go to Florida anymore for fights because we've already been there. Let's go to New York. Okay, we went to New York 2 years ago. We can go back now. If you go every year, people aren't going to buy tickets anymore. And so I think that's a big reason why that they did what they did in terms of trying to keep him off. You're not going to buy the pay-per-views if he's going to fight again in 6 months.
Right. So it makes sense for the UFC.
But it doesn't make sense for the fighter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not at all. And it's a problem. You got to think about it. Conor's the one that set that fight up with Poirier. He went and basically said, hey, we'll do this for charity. We won't make a dime. And you and I will put it all towards your charity. And he was we'll do it in Ireland. We'll all set this up. And that's when Dana said, oh, this is a fight we need to do. Sure.
Yeah.
They knew there was a little bit of problem. Let's talk about your career. Let's talk about your last fight, first off, where you looked phenomenal. Dude, you were all over that. You were moving. You're going against a guy with super heavy hands. How did you get hurt ever by Jeff Neal?
Not at all. Not even the headbutt in the first round dazed me. I knew he headbutted. I didn't know I was cut until probably the beginning, or when I went back to my corner after the first round. I realized I was cut. But I just felt great, man. I mean, I was out for a year, broke both my hands in the Vicente Luque fight. Took a little while to heal up. Then the pandemic hit, and then we were shut down for forever. And then trying to find the right fight. There was kind of nobody out there. And Jeff Neal was kind of like, hey, man, I'm here. I was like, all right, let's make it happen. So he was ranked number 11. And, and everybody keeps telling me, why are you fighting this guy? You should be fighting somebody ranked above me. But at the same time, I was in his shoes, him and Vicente both, not too long ago. And of course, Jake Ellenberger, Johnny Hendricks gave me that opportunity. So I kind of wanted to, do that for them to see if, number one, to test myself because I was out for a year. 2, to kind of give back and say, hey, man, test yourself. And I'm the guy that you're going to be doing it against. But it gives me confidence knowing that these up and comers, they can't, number one, they got to work on something, but it also tells me that
they can't crack the code.
They can't crack it. They can't get it. So I felt great, man. I really did. Cardio was great. I could have done 5 more rounds after that. But yeah, man, it was just, it was money. It was a money fight for sure. I loved it.
What was the one thing that happened to your leg? Because you were hobbling when you were leaving the octagon and going.
I tore my quad.
Inside or outside quad?
Outside. Outside. So the only knee I'm pretty sure I've ever thrown in a fight. I ended up injuring myself. So I ended up tearing my quad. I thought it was my kneecap. So I was bending my leg, trying to get my kneecap back in place, but it wasn't moving. I was like, that's not my kneecap. What is that? And then I didn't realize till after the fight, it was just my muscle had bundled up right above my knee where it had tore. So 5th round, I couldn't move a whole lot. So I kind of had to sit there and bang it out with a heavy hitter. And, but at that point, I kind of wore him down. Like I knew his power had subsided a little bit. His speed wasn't there like it was in the first round. So it was almost like I didn't have to really, of course, you always have to worry about something, but it wasn't as threatening in that 5th round as it was in the first. So I think he was frustrated at the same time, just with the movement, always circling to the left. But he just didn't adapt. He couldn't adapt to the style, I guess.
Yeah.
Do you when you watch other fighters that can't adapt, let's say we're not talking about Jeff Neal, but like other fighters that have not been able to adapt in a fight, do you consider that a fighter's issue or do you consider that a corner issue?
I think it's a fighter and a coach issue.
So together.
I mean, together, yeah. I mean, a coach, you see this a lot in boxing and a lot of kickboxing. Like I grew up doing both sides, and maybe that's just the karate that I trained in. We were able to do both sides, and I can't tell you like how much that has saved my behind being able to switch sides. You know, taking damage on my leg, being able to switch sides and be able to throw. You just have more weapons in your arsenal, I think, when being able to switch, and you throw a lot of fighters off. Like when I saw Conor take those low calf kicks, I'm like, switch sides, man. You know, he wasn't able to do it. And I see that with coaches. They don't allow their guys. They want their power hand to be in the back. They want their weak hand to be in the front, their jabbing hand, and they don't let them switch. I don't know if that's the laziness of a coaching, because when you hold mitts for somebody, it's a little bit easier to hold mitts for somebody when they only have one side, right? But when they're able to switch sides, they have a hard time keeping up the guy holding mitts. Yeah. So I don't know if it's just the laziness. It's easier to coach somebody when they're only one side forward. But I think it's a coach issue. I think everybody should be training both sides. I think you just have more weapons in your arsenal. You throw your opponent off, especially if you're fighting a boxer or a wrestler, it makes it more difficult.
Yeah, being able to switch also makes them think, and there's that hesitation. That was like, I did notice when I think it was my 3rd fight with Gil, I was watching, he had fought Masvidal years before that, and every time Masvidal would switch his stance, Gil would take a step backwards. So I was like, I had kind of hurt my knee the week before, so I realized that if I switch my stance when I'm getting tired, or I switch my stance when I don't feel comfortable, he'll step away. And it worked like clockwork, especially in the first 2 rounds. So I think also too, with the evolution of the sport, people are just switching left and right now all the time, making people guess. And so now others are having to make that adjustment. Because if you switch and you throw right off the bat, if you have a combination already in mind, it's when you switch and you wait, the fighter doesn't respect you. When you switch and throw, they don't have a chance to adjust their defense. And so there's a lot more things that adapt.
It's like what the military does when have you heard of the tactical L?
Yep. I have not.
It's a maneuver that the police, a lot of SWAT military guys use when somebody's coming at you. If they don't have time to pull their weapon from their holster, they back up and they angle off. And they say that, I guess scientifically, the opponent has a hard time keeping up. Like their brain kind of flips and they have to be able to adjust in that moment. And there's a pausing. They pause for a second, which allows the police officer or the military to be able to pull out their weapon. So it's like the same thing. It's like their brain's not keeping up. They have to back up and adjust. And in that moment, when you attack, your shots land. Mm-hmm. So being able to switch sides, I think, is crucial, especially for MMA guys, fighters nowadays. If they want to take their skill level to another level, they're going to have to get used to that. I think that's something that you actually have to do in the beginning, because if you start fairly late, if you get put in an uncomfortable situation, you'll always go back, to whatever side you normally keep. You want to be comfortable with both sides, So whenever you're out there in a stressful situation, maybe you're getting pieced up and you're trying to switch, you won't stay there for very long. The
tactical L reminds me of when you teach boxers, you teach kickboxers 2 steps back and then move left to right, cut your angle. Yeah, you got to circle out. Just kind of make it changes the adjustment of the angle of which the punches and kicks are going to come from then. So you don't take more than 2 steps back because you're going to end up hitting the cage. Or you take 2 steps back and circle left and right. You can change the angle of your punches as well as your opponent has to readjust. So it makes sense.
It's cool how similar that is, though. The combat sports and military use, and it's pretty much the same.
Especially now with the way that combat sports has changed in terms of there's so many more weapons. Now it's really considered, I really believe it really is considered mixed martial arts, because you got to think in terms of the things that, remember, I don't know, for me, when I came into the sport, it was like, okay, wrestling and jiu-jitsu, a little bit of striking. And then, Lyoto came in. It was like, oh, wait, kickboxing works. And Mirko came in. It was like, wait, kickboxing is knocking out these wrestlers and these good jiu-jitsu guys. So all they got to do is learn how to. And so the sport has now started to evolve into all the stuff that we didn't think was going to work. The Anderson Silva kick up the middle, to Vitor's face. I mean, there's things that just work. And then, Lyoto hit that a couple times on some people as well. You saw just the evolution of what is going on. And now leg locks are coming back. Remember in UFC, 2 or 3 leg locks were a big deal, with Ken Shamrock and whoever, and then now they're back with Gordon Ryan and all the group. And then they're making their way into the UFC, into the MMA itself. This is crazy. The sport has come full circle and it's getting better and better every time.
That's what makes this sport so exciting and probably one of the fastest growing sports in the world, man. MMA, combat sport. It's funny, it's like, I've talked to professional athletes, baseball players, soccer players, and basketball players. Man, you can tell they want to be that fighter. They want to be.
They do until they're in there getting punched in the face. And then they go, baseball is the greatest sport ever.
Ever. But I think it's the ultimate sport, man. It's like, if it's that sport where that person that you're a fan of, if he wants to, like for me, I can come to your house and take anything you got. If shit hit the fan, I can do that and you can do nothing about it. As a man, it's like the ultimate sport, right? The combat sport, I think. Just being able to, to fend for yourself, to fight for your family, but having that skill set, I think the other sports, they see that, but they kind of envy that as well. Like I've talked to a lot. I'm like, man, I wish I did that, man. I was like, well, come do some training. They're like, I don't want to get punched in the face.
Oh, at first second there, I thought you guys were talking about sharpshooting.
I'm gonna jump back here and clarify something, but I'm gonna put you in the hot seat, Stephen. Who was the first kickboxer that came in and actually changed the sport?
Talking about MMA.
MMA. It's okay if you don't get it, but I got to give credit to where it's due, because Josh said a couple of names that are great.
I know
but they were long after the guy that changed it.
Yeah, but I know who.
Oh man,
I know you do.
Yeah.
Golly, he was the heavyweight champ.
Yes, he was.
Oh man. Oh shoot, what was his name? He fought K1 as well, I believe.
Yes, he did. It's Maurice Smith.
Yes, Maurice Smith.
Yes, Maurice Smith. Maurice Smith was actually fighting in what was called Extreme Fighting Battlecade and fought Conan Silveira, who is now a great coach at ATT. When he was the champion, knocked him out with a head kick, came into the UFC, and he beat Mark Coleman when Mark Coleman, everyone was saying no one could beat that guy. Beat him down, UFC
beat
14.
Him down.
Yep.
Beat him down.
That's when leg kicks, striker. Leg kicks with Marco Huas was at UFC 7 against Paul Varlins. Rest in peace for Paul. But it was Maurice Smith that beat Mark Coleman, eating him up. You
are an encyclopedia, brother.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
I can't get rid of it. I feel bad about that. But I had to give props to Maurice Smith.
You were there through it all, man.
I'm still astonished by the fact that his brain works at 79 years old. Still the same. Still the same. It's so impressive, Steven. This is every day I deal with this when I talk to him, and I'm like, geez, how does a man at your age still be able to function like this? Your brain, very impressive.
Steel trap.
All right, hey, we do have a huge welterweight fight coming up. You being in the welterweight class in the UFC, you've got Kamaru Usman taking on Gilbert Burns. I know you would like to face both of them, but who do you think is going to win that fight? And then we want to talk about who you should be facing.
Oh man, you guys will put me on the spot here. This
damn
is a tough
straight,
one.
Man. We need an expert. One. We don't have any experts here.
So I think this is going to be Kamaru Usman's toughest fight for sure. I mean, this guy's got the ground. He's got, he's a high level jiu-jitsu practitioner. He's got good strike. He's been knocking dudes out. So I think the better, well-rounded fighter that he's faced. I mean, even over at Colby Covington. But Usman, on top of that, he's an intelligent fighter. He's got pressure and cardio for days. He's got a gas tank like no other. But I do believe that he can out wrestle Burns.
But does he want to?
I think he could. I think he could wrestle him and neutralize his jiu-jitsu. His top game is really, really good, especially up against the fence. If he can get him pinned up against the fence where he's able to control his opponent's hips, I think he's got it. But the thing is getting in there. Burns' striking is fast, man. That dude's explosive. He may not have the reach Kamaru does, but he's explosive. And you saw it against Tyron Woodley. He knocked him down, something I wasn't able to do. And I think I'm a pretty fast. Kamaru,
you're a pretty good striker. We'll give you credit.
Thank you. But I believe Kamaru Usman can do it. I like Kamaru Usman. I think he's a great champ. You know,
he is.
I think he holds the title very well.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I think he holds it very well.
Yeah,
so I'm going for Usman, man. I think Usman's got it.
All right.
So you think he's going to out wrestle him, be able to nullify his jiu-jitsu from that position? I mean, I don't know if he has another, like, I know he's decent on the feet, but when you put the two of him and Gilbert and him together, I think Gilbert's striking is a little bit faster. But Gilbert's got to get in. I'm interested to know if it does hit the ground. You're saying that if he pressures him to the fence, the two of them have trained together for years.
Yes.
And so the two of them know very well what the other one does. What adjustments do you think either one's going to have to make, though? Because you think they're going to kind of just keep doing what they're doing because they worked in training, or are they going to try to do something else?
I think they're going to try and do something. They know each other. They've been training each other. I think they said they had over 200 like sparring matches or something like that. I saw it on social media. So these guys have trained quite a bit.
It was over 1,000 sparring matches.
1,000 sparring matches.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So I think they're going to have something up their sleeve for each other. You know, they know each other very well. And, you know, it's going to be on an intimate level. What I mean by that is, you know, when you step out there, you can have sparring partners all day. It's not the same. But when you go out there and you face somebody and you're ready to do combat, and it's like, I'm trying to, you know, push your face to the back of your skull. At the end of that, you learn a lot about somebody, right? It's almost like on an intimate level. Like you have a lot of respect for that guy. And now it's getting to that point. But I think they're going to have something up their sleeve. Do I know what that is? I do not. But they do know each other, and I think they're going to prepare each other, you know, accordingly to how they felt each other in training.
Well, since you picked Kamaru Usman, though, but he ended up having to go to Colorado to train with Trevor Whitman, correct, John? Yeah. Am I right? Let's go.
He's been all over.
So he's been there. He's been there at Trevor Whitman's training out there at altitude, or it's called Elevate. Is that the name of the gym there?
Elevation. But he's also been training up in the Jersey area with Eddie Alvarez and a guy named The Answer or something.
Yeah, some small guy named The Answer. Yeah. Frankie Edgar, baby, Frankie Edgar. But I mean, how much do you think that will play a role in his fight against Burns? I mean, Burns is staying there at their champ at Sanford MMA.
Well, it is
Sanford Health, but Sanford MMA. Gilbert's able to stay there and train with all the same guys. His routine hasn't been broken. How much do you think that affects Usman having to change camps?
I don't think it affects him at all. I think it actually will help him out for this fight, because now he's got different looks. He's getting different information and you know, training with guys that he's probably never trained before, which is going to make him go to another level. A lot of times when you spar the same guys over and over again, you know, that getting better process slows down because you know each other very well, right? So now he's getting different looks. So you know his game is evolving because he's having to adjust to their styles now. That's why whenever I train, I try and go to New York City. I try and go to TriStar to get different looks. So that way, you know, I can somewhat have faced somebody very similar to my opponent, right? And I think that's helped me adapt to my opponents, you know, mid-fight. At some point in time, I faced somebody, you know, very similar to the guy that I'm fighting. So I think it's good to go out there and spar with different guys. And I think it's going to help him because he's getting different looks, different coaching, giving him different new ideas and things like that. So I think it could definitely help him.
Let's talk about your next fight, because you had that great fight with Jeff Neal and you're kind of sitting out there and there's all kinds of talk about different guys. Michael Chiesa had a great performance against Neil Magny. and he kind of even called you out. He was talking about possibly fighting you. But who is it that you go, this is the guy that I would really like to step in that cage against?
Well, I kind of picked at him a little bit on Twitter. I got, of course, he didn't give me a whole lot of feedback. He kind of shut me down, which is why I think he got cut from the UFC, or at least from the top 5 for a little bit, Leon Edwards.
Yeah.
And now he's fighting Hamzat, who's had one fight in the welterweight division. And it's kind of jumping past a lot of people. I think they're kind of upset, but I kind of see it, how that kind of went down, Khabib retiring. I kind of called it, and they need somebody to kind of push, from that standpoint, push from, Khabib's part of the world, you know what I'm saying? And, he's had 3 fights and 3 finishes, but he's had 1 fight at welterweight, and now he's fighting Leon Edwards. But it was Leon. I think he's a very scary dude, man. He's good everywhere. When you first saw him in the UFC, his striking was very, very good. Now, his last 2 fights, he was taking his opponents down. He took down RDA, controlled him on the ground. So to face him, it would almost be like preparing for Rory McDonald all over again. So I think he's great everywhere. I think that was kind of the guy I was shooting for, but he wasn't having it.
Well, my question is that, are you looking to fight him or fight the winner of this fight then, given the fact that they're going to fight, and whoever wins, does that put you there? Or do you think you're going to end up let's say Chimaev wins. Would that push you above Chimaev then? And then Chimaev would be down a couple, and then do you fight it out to see where you're at?
I think Chimaev, if he wins, I think they'll push him for a title fight, like right off the bat. As hard as they're pushing this guy. Yeah. I really do. I think if he goes out there and he puts a whooping on Leon Edwards, I think they're pushing him for a title fight.
So look,
it's not fair, man. But I don't agree with it.
Nope.
I don't agree with it, man. And everybody says, it's a business, but at one point in time, I worked my behind off to get to where I'm at. Right. And you got a lot of guys out there. Like I think Vicente Luque is more deserving of a title fight than Hamzat.
Yeah.
But I think that's what I'm predicting. I think they're going to push him for a title fight.
So I guess when we're getting into this conversation is you have Masvidal ahead of you by 1. You got Leon, and then you got Gilbert Burns, who's fighting for the title, and you got Colby. Where, like, if they end up pushing him for that title shot, where does that put you? Like, Masvidal is one of those guys right now. He's like, if you're not the champ, I'm pretty much thinking if you're not Conor and you're not the champ, he's not really, doesn't seem like he's interested to fight right now. Or another Nate.
I think that's everybody in the top right now. Colby Covington as well.
Yeah.
He got demolished. I don't think he deserves another title shot after that beatdown.
Demolished. What are you talking about? He was mad at the referee. Fight was stolen from him. Did you watch it?
Yeah. No, I want to look him in the eye. I'm just like, what are you talking about, bro? What are you talking about? You got your jaw broken. You got TKO'd.
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
You don't deserve another title shot yet. But everybody in that top is thinking that right now, which is kind of annoying, to be honest with you, because, I would like to kind of work my way back up. The last 2 guys were ranked number 11. I'm hoping that the UFC is not trying to make me that gatekeeper, because if so, nobody's getting into heaven, man. Nobody's getting in there. And that's kind of my mindset. I told the UFC, you give me anybody in the top 4. It doesn't matter who it is. And I know they all got, supposedly got fights coming up.
Yeah.
Leon's fighting Hamzat. I think they're trying to push the Colby Covington and Masvidal fight. And then you got the Burns and you got the Colby fight. So I think it kind of works, especially in the timeline right now for me, because I'm still healing up. And hopefully by the time I'm ready to fight, some of those, spots will be open, and these guys have already fought. So kind of see where I go from there.
How much of this do you think, of the UFC looking at you, how much do you think of this is because of your age?
You know what? I heard Ariel Helwani call me, I think I had an interview and he called me a vet, and it kind of pissed me off a little bit. Because when I think of a vet, I think of somebody older, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be 38 in February, but I feel like I'm 25. We train smart in the gym. When we pad up, we keep it light to the head. We work the body and legs, but You can't condition the brain. A lot of these guys lose their chin in the gym, just beating the crap out of each other. I remember going to ATT, man, these guys you had Hector Lombard out there knocking dudes out. I put my gear up and I left. I'm like, what? It's like, no, I'm not. No. I'm not going out there to spar with that guy. No. Are you kidding me? And, I think with my style too, I don't take a lot of punishment. I've been knocked out one time. And I think the hardest I've been hit with was with Tyron Woodley, when he knocked me down in that fight, that first fight. And then then I got knocked out by Pettis, which wasn't a hard hit. It was just right on the button. Yeah. So I've been knocked out once and I still feel fine. And everybody was talking about after that knockout that I've lost my chin. I'm like, what? I've been knocked out once, And so the Vicente Luque, this fight with Jeff Neal, I got hit with some shots and didn't affect me one bit. So I still feel great, man. I think it does. I think they're looking at me as, or do we push this older guy, this vet, or do we get one of these up and comers and hope they beat them and push them? And on top of that, they're not getting paid as much as me either. So I think they wouldn't mind those guys beating me. You know what I'm saying?
It's very rare that Ariel Helwani says something that really pisses fighters off. It's very uncommon.
Oh, very rare.
Well, right? I love that guy, man. He cracks me up. But it was like, dude, I'm not a vet, bro. Yeah. I remember afterwards, I'm like, I literally went throughout the day. I'm like, dude, I finally went to my dad. My coach said, bro, am I a vet, Dad? He's like, well, you have been in the UFC for, almost 9-10 years.
Wow. That's a veteran. It's okay.
I'm like, dang it, man. Are you kidding me? Like I got to go out there and whoop this dude now. Like everybody thinks I'm a vet.
So how long is the quad? How long are you in the process of that getting healed up, and how much longer are you looking for that to heal?
I think April. It's not really just my quad. I end up partially tearing a ligament in my thumb.
Okay.
And so I've got it in like a cast, not really a cast, but a brace. They don't want me using it. They said, maybe a month and a half. I mean, I can move it around, but to where it's fully healed. They said if that thing tears, you're going to have a pretty painful surgery. Chris Weidman's had that surgery, and trust me, I don't want to go that route. So I'm making sure that it's nice and healed up. I do not want to. I was hoping I would come off of this fight unscathed, but when you're fighting somebody like him, it's pretty much impossible. Yeah. So I can get back in there. I don't want to be out for a year again. That was just too much, and want to stay active. And I felt fine being out. I only had a 5.5 week training camp, so I was prone for less injury. But I was kind of questioning my cardio. But man, I could have gone another 5 rounds after that, so I felt great.
Are you talking about your thumb? Are you talking about your thumb, the healing of your thumb, the terms of you may have to have surgery? So in the Benson fight, I tore all the ligaments in my thumb and into my wrist. Do yourself a favor, keep the cast on. Because what happened was I kept taking mine off and the ligament didn't heal back properly, and it stretched. I can see
that, bro.
So this is like, it goes like that all the way. Whereas this thumb doesn't, it only goes like that. See how far it goes? This one will go because it didn't heal back tight enough. So when you make sure you keep your cast on. For me, I kept taking it off, whenever I felt like it. And I had pins put in. So when they took the pins out, I kept taking my cast off and it fell, moving it around. And when I went back to the doctor 4 weeks later, he's like, it's too loose. We have to do it again. And I was like, I'm not doing the surgery again. I was 38 years old, at 37 or whatever. I was like, I'm not doing it again, man. So I just left it as it was, but it affects me. I have no grip strength or anything like that. I can't do anything. So I'm just saying.
It also, when he waves to people now, it just flops around. It looks really silly, man.
I'm just saying, but be cautious with it, because any type of grip fighting, hand fighting, wrist fighting, all that stuff, it will go away. Yeah. So be very cautious. Leave your grip, leave it on. I'm just speaking from experience, brother.
I'm glad you told me that, because I hate wearing that.
I know. Oh, I know, especially when you're trying to teach or do anything. Like you have the thumb cast on, there's nothing you can do. Just be easy with it. Otherwise, you're going to start losing those type of things.
Yeah, you could do something with it. Hit the kids with it. Boom. Boom. It's perfect.
Smoke in the head, baby.
You got to make the best of it.
As you can tell, John needs to work on his anger management.
Well.
Yeah, you and my dad both, man. Yeah. You old school dudes.
Your dad, dude. I love your dad.
Oh,
I want to put on. I don't know if people know. First off, your dad, Ray, an unbelievable kickboxer, had a great career and a crazy, tough bastard. That I'm sorry that you had to actually grow up with him like I had to grow up with my dad, because he's crazy too. But also you have family members. You have your sister's married to Carlos Machado. You have your brother's what is it? Your brother's
My brother
wife?
married Chris Weidman's sister.
That's right.
Everybody's
Oh,
like,
you-
"Are these planned marriages?" We're like, "No,
you got
it was just
martial arts
happened, I
going
promise."
all over the place with
Wow.
marriages and crazy stuff, man. You're branching out way beyond Simpsonville.
See, the goal is to just put out the perfect MMA fighter.
You're
Right?
getting close.
And that's what we're trying to do. You know, I got 13 nieces and nephews,
Jeez.
and they all started martial arts at 3. Mandatory.
Uh,
Mandatory.
are they all in South Carolina?
No, I've got 4 in Dallas, Texas. So my sister moved out to Dallas with Carlos Machado. They run several schools there. And she fought before I did. She kicked my ass for years, man.
Yeah.
She kicked my
That's
behind
what
for a
sisters
year.
do.
Man, she probably still could. I mean, she's a beast, but she's raising youngins now, keeping Carlos in check, making sure the schools are run.
Yeah.
And her kids are acting and training every day. So
Where are they out in
That's
that
awesome.
Dallas area? Like Frisco or in Dallas itself? Like Frisco, Dallas,
Frisco.
Prosper. Okay.
Frisco.
Because I'm looking at places to possibly move out of California.
Yes,
Talk,
let's
talk,
go.
He
So,
talks about it all the
yeah,
time. Guess where he's still
Hey,
at.
well, you got to find the right place, man. You can't just up and move. You know, you got to find the right place. Yeah, I'm
It's
looking
cheap.
in the
It's
Frisco
cheap.
area as well, in the Prosper Frisco
Yeah.
area there. So nice little areas
Cool.
up there. So I'm a little scared of tornadoes, but I guess no more than earthquakes. I
It's
guess.
not that bad.
Yeah.
It's really not. I was in an interview with Ariel Helwani in the middle of a tornado. I was driving a bus, and
So
the next thing you know, people are telling me to come inside. I'm like, I look over, a freaking tornado.
wow,
It very rarely happens
It's
here.
in
I
South
had to run
Carolina.
inside.
That's in South Carolina.
Carolina.
But you know what? What's crazy is that your internet still works, and John can't buy good internet out there.
Hold on. A question real quick. Whose internet went down just on this very interview there?
It was an
Oh,
internet.
come on.
It was a
Good,
software problem.
good night,
Software
Chris.
problem.
Yeah,
Software
Yeah,
problem.
software.
Okay, so let's you're saying by April, May, you'll be fully healed, ready to get ready to kind of get a fight in there. I mean,
Yes.
it seems like it would make sense somewhere if Colby is to fight Masvidal and Chimaev fights Leon, which is going to happen here shortly. The winner of one of those fights will be available for you to fight. Out of those 4 guys, which one do you prefer to fight?
Oh man, I prefer to fight the guy, at least, the highest rank possible. I know Colby Covington, that's going to be a no. He would not. I don't think he'll fight me at this point. Either Masvidal or Leon Edwards. It would be awesome. Would be a
Cool
great
fight.
fight. I mean, the BMF versus the NMF. That's a title right there for you guys. That'd be awesome. I faced him once before. I know he's made some changes, but a confident Masvidal is would definitely be a tough one.
Yeah.
But Leon Edwards for sure. He's been on my radar for a while. I just like it just because I think he's one of the toughest guys up there. You know, he's good everywhere. And he's got good stand-up, good striking. What makes it fun for me is trying to break them down, trying to adapt to them and figure them out. That's what makes the fight game. And even mid-fight, I like doing that. I think that's just, that's fun for me, man. I love doing it.
Do you believe in ring rust?
It's funny. I think it depends on who you are. I really do.
That's my question, though. My question is, Leon's
Thank
been
you.
out. Leon's been out for so long, and he's been the emotional roller coaster. Like they've taken him out of the rankings, they put him back, and now they're giving him
Yes.
someone who's not really even in the top 10, who's not in the top 10. Like, where do you like? That's an emotional roller
seems like
coaster mixed in with the fact that you haven't fought, or
Yeah.
trained and ready for over a year.
And he's an emotional guy, and
Yeah.
I think that affects guys like him, who are emotional. I've seen guys been out for a year and a half, come back and just kick behind.
Yeah.
And then I've seen guys been out for 6 months and then blame it on ring rust. And I think it's this. I think it's a mental thing for them. So I believe it depends on who you are. If you're training in the gym, like I'm injured, but there's always something that I can do.
Yeah.
Right. I'm always in the gym training. I live there, and I'm helping my teammates get ready for their fights. And a lot of these guys at the highest level, they only train whenever they have fights coming up,
So that's what John and I talk about this all the time, because I train with Khabib, I train with a lot of the Russians, Islam Makhachev and some of the other Russians. There's no days off. Like Khabib, when he say he fights on Friday, he's training by Monday or Tuesday if he's healed up.
I'm the same way.
He's training by Monday or Tuesday, and it's not hard. Don't get me wrong; they're not back in there sparring. They're back in there. They're back in there doing pull-ups, sit-ups, hitting the bag, stretching, helping their brothers like do some stuff against the cage or against the wall events. There's no days off, and there are also too like with. I say this in a respectful way, but the American fighters have the tendency to after they fight, they spend a week or two partying, spend a week or two at the club, they spend a week or two, barbecuing and drinking, and the Dagestani or the Russian style fighters, they don't do that, and that's why you see the progression so much and how
100%. I think it's on how they're raised as well. Like I was raised in the gym, training every day, and that was life, and that's all I know.
Yeah. Right.
Is that, and that's how they grew up the same way. They were been doing this since they were this big, and it's life for them. So it's like if they're not in there doing something, it's like they're missing something. And a lot of these guys, especially in America, they very rarely do you see guys who have been training at a very young age. I guess wrestling, maybe certain sports, maybe wrestlers like Chris been training wrestling since he was 8. But then it's seasonal, right? So you have time off. So they get in that mindset to where like, I'm done with the fight. I can take a long break, but that's a skill set you're not developing or getting better if you're doing that, right? When you go back in the gym, you're the same guy you were when you finish fighting. You're not evolving. You're not getting better. So that's how I look at it as well. And of course, I got teammates that keep me accountable. In our gym, we don't have a big gym. We probably have maybe 10 amateur, 15, and pro fighters. But if you're not in the gym after a fight, maybe, I'll give you a day or 2 or 3. But if you're not in the gym, I'm calling you up. It's asking you're behind. Why you're not in here? I'll keep you accountable, daggone it. So it's I helped you get ready for your fight. And that's the mentality we have. And MMA is a selfish sport. It really is, man. Yeah. Guys want you to help them, but when it's time for you to get ready, they're nowhere to be found. Yeah. So we keep you accountable.
It hurts when you're the sparring partner, man. Damn, I'm telling you, it hurts.
It does, man. It does. It's not fun, but I think that's the difference.
Even I know that you're a huge fan of the sport, and not only talking about the welterweight division that you're part of. Who is the guy that you look at? This is the guy that I'm interested in watching. What it could be in the welterweight division, could be in any of them, in any promotion. Don't care. Who's the guy that you look at and you go, this is the guy that I think everyone should be watching?
Well, at this point, I think he's already champion. It was a guy I've been looking at for a long time, for a while now, as he was coming up, just because he's a striker, but he's got this calmness about him. And whenever I see guys that are like that just have a very calm demeanor, especially out there in the octagon, they're going to be something. And it is Izzy Adesanya. Mm-hmm. Izzy Adesanya, when you see him out there, especially the way you saw him dismantle his last opponent, who's just a monster. You saw him go, crazy rounds with, Yoel Romero. I thought it was going to be a harder fight for him, but he just schooled him like it was nothing. He's been doing that with guys since he got in the UFC. Yeah. I mean, his attitude, but just the way he fights and the way he's calculative when he's out there. He's an intelligent fighter. Kind of like how Anderson Silva, is, or I don't like to say was, because I bet
was in his prime. In his prime.
Yeah. He was that way as well. He's got that calmness about him, and you see that with high level guys like that. And they make it to the top. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the confidence or the mindset. I don't know what it is, but it's something about them.
Well, how do you look at his fight with Jan Blachowicz? How do you look at his fight with that's the weight, the size? I mean, now he's equally the same height and size as someone that he's fighting.
I think it's very dangerous for Izzy to make this fight, but on top of that, I think Izzy's fast enough and explosive enough to draw out Blachowicz' strikes and counter him. Blachowicz got a lot of holes in his stand-up. When he throws his punches, he drops his punches. That's something that Izzy, I think, is looking at to this day. I believe he can counter-strike him and put him to sleep. But that's if he goes the striking route. If I was Blachowicz, I would get his behind up against the cage. You've seen GSP do this time and time again against good strikers. You know, Thiago Alves, when he was dropping dudes, you know, is to get him up against the fence, lay on him, use that heavy weight. And, you know, hopefully the next round, he'll have enough blood in those arms that he's not as fast as he was in the first. That's the route I would go if I was Blachowicz. I would get him up against the fence, find a way to do that, and just lay on him, make him work from there. But the thing is, man, I mean, he's big enough to do so. I know Izzy's got great takedown defense. He moves very well, especially for a 185er. But man, going up to that next level, it's no joke, man. I mean, I'm 170. When I spar with Chris Weidman, man, it's rough, bro. He throws me around like a little rag doll. It's like not even the same. And everybody's like, man, go to 185. You knocked out, you know, was it, what's his name? Golly, what?
He's Johnny Hendricks.
No. Izzy just beat him for the title. Why can I not think of his name right now?
Paulo Costa?
Oh, no.
Whitaker.
For the title,
Whitaker. Oh, Robert Whitaker when he fought 170. Yeah.
Yeah, but Whitaker was a big dude. He was struggling to get to 170. I mean, he's got a big frame. Like he's meant to be 185.
Yeah.
So when I fight guys like Weidman, he grabs me by my wrist. It's like I feel like a little kid. I can't get away.
Yeah.
You know, it's like to go up to that. I'm not considered a big welterweight either. I walk around about 190, 195. Most guys walk around over 200. You know, so it's like, you know, I'm not considered a big welterweight, and I can't make 155. I'm in a really weird weight, man. I wish I was bigger than I am now, but I'm kind of glad so I don't have to make that crazy weight cut. And the older I get, the harder it gets. So,
well, I want to leave you off with one question. This will be my last question. I want to talk to you about the most anticipated fight in all of MMA right now. Actually, not in MMA, actually in boxing. Jake Paul and Ben Askren. Okay, the world wants to know. The world wants to know what you think of this fucking circus show. That's what I want to know.
First off, it's ridiculous, man. I mean, as an athlete,
I can't believe you said that.
As an athlete, man, I think it's dumb. I mean, you know, this dude has done nothing to step out. I mean, even though, you know, Ben Askren's not a boxer, I mean, he's a legend of the MMA sport.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He is.
That's why they picked him for the fight, because he's a legend 100%. Who doesn't fight stand-up.
Who doesn't box.
Yeah.
But I think it's stupid. I think, you know, but on top of that, you know, I've done some YouTube. I've got my own YouTube channel now. And as a YouTuber, I guess, I mean, the guys are making some noise, man. They are making some noise. The you know, Jake Paul, Logan Paul, they're bringing in some money for themselves as well. But as an athlete, I think it's stupid. You don't deserve to step out in the octagon or step out in the cage with anybody.
No.
You know, I think Logan was saying he's fighting what, Mayweather?
That got canceled. It got canceled.
Oh, did it? I was about to say, if you do that, man, it makes you look so bad, Mayweather. It really does. It makes you look desperate.
Yeah, they were saying that there wasn't as much interest in that fight, so they basically canceled. They didn't get 100,000 people to pre-buy.
Good,
but I'm like, yeah, but you're 10 weeks away still, you know, from I guess when the fight was supposed to happen. If you can't get 100,000 people to buy it in 10 weeks, like people don't even know what they're doing tomorrow, you know, right. let alone 10 weeks out.
True.
So
that's true.
But give me a prediction. It's a boxing match, and I know, but look, I actually just in the last couple of days have changed my mind that I'm not going with.
Don't try to influence anybody. What are you doing?
Okay, go ahead.
You just sit there.
I've changed my mind.
I think Jake Paul is going to go out there and piece him up.
Think so, huh?
I'm hoping. I really do. I pray for this. I pray that freaking Ben Askren goes out there and body slams and knocks him out and say, "This is real fighting."
That's what I want.
Just
suplex him on his head.
Disqualified. You know what I mean? Who cares? Just get disqualified. That would be talked about till the end of time. Forever.
Except I pray it might be where he doesn't get paid.
Say that, yeah.
But it might be in the contract where he doesn't get paid.
Yeah, that's true. That's what they did with the Floyd and Conor fight. There was tons of things in the contract. No takedowns, no kicking. There was all those things were in the contract, and there was a huge fine and didn't get paid or whatever it was. So you're saying you think Jake Paul's going to get it done?
Man, I mean, go back and watch Ben Askren's fight with Maya. It's like, it's very difficult for me to see that happen. And Jake, I mean, he's got some skill. I mean, having 2 fights, I mean, he's got some skill, but, Ben Askren, from what I hear he doesn't even do any striking. When he was preparing for fights, I thought he was just wrestling. That's all he would do. He's just wrestle.
So, okay, now hear me out. And last week I was thinking Jake Paul was going to get it done, but I think right now Ben Askren's going to get it done. And the reason why I think he's going to get it done, Jake Paul, just like his brother Logan, they're both bullies. They're guys that will walk you down and try and throw big shots, circle out when they get tired, take a breath, then come back in and try and assault you. I think Ben Askren is going to walk him down and make him fight going backwards. And I don't think he understands the pressure of fighting backwards. He's going to be so exhausted from someone actually pressuring him. One thing Ben Askren will not do is get tired.
Yeah, he does it. And he's tough as nails.
He's tough. He'll take a shot.
I mean,
even unless it's a flying knee, he'll take it.
You don't have to worry about that one.
You ain't got to worry about that.
You're changing my mind right now.
I'm telling you.
You are changing.
You have to think in
I
terms
can see that.
Ben Askren being the guy, Olympic caliber wrestler, okay, and then on top of that, fighting all the top promotions he's fought in. Okay, he is a professional athlete fighting a guy who has two. He understands he's gonna walk Jake Paul down and make him fight on his back foot, and how exhausted in the pressure he's not going to be expecting that. Even if Ben walks forward,
do you know?
I think it's 8. I believe it's 8.
8 rounds.
Yeah,
I can see that happening, man. I really do.
It's gonna take him 5 or 6 rounds, but
just walking. He will literally hold his hand and just walk forward.
Yep.
I can see that happening. You know what? I think you're changing my mind.
Yeah,
you're changing my mind. Dude.
Welcome to the dark side, baby. Welcome to the dark side. Woo!
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I really didn't.
He's not going to stand. I don't think he'll stand and box with him. I think he's going to walk him down and make him fight on his back foot, and it's going to make him exhausted.
Try and get him to the corner, just dirty boxing the crap out of him. And he can do that.
And then he can clinch him. He can get him to the corner and clinch him, make him his arms blow up with blood. He's not going to be as fast and as explosive. And by rounds 4 and 5, it's going to be a different fight.
Wow. I think you got me on that, bro. I think you got me there.
See how convincing I am, man. See how convincing this is.
Stop. You
don't listen to John. He's 79 years old.
Consider the nicest guy. Don't go to the dark side. Let's be honest. I want that to happen. And when Josh talked to me about it, I was like, God, I like that idea. But I do know people that Jake Paul is training with, and they're smart enough to deal with things like that and get him prepared. So it could happen, but I don't think it's going to.
Who brought Negative Nancy to the show, Steven? Who brought this guy? Who brought this guy?
Exactly.
Oh my goodness, dude.
Oh, geez.
Well, I mean, it's man, it's the way the fight game's going right now, and I hate to see it. I really do.
So do we. And then we talk about it, and that only elevates.
Yeah, but I got it because Ben fought in the welterweight division. You're in the welterweight division. I don't know. I just wanted to get your opinion on it. I thought, and I like Ben a lot, so I'm trying to change people's minds and what people may think, and I gave you good information. You made your own judgment.
You did. Thank you for that.
We want to thank you for coming on the show, man. You are always just a pleasure to talk to you, but you're even better to watch when you're in the cage fighting.
Thank you.
Because man,
I'm sorry
you put on a show
to make this happen, but I really do appreciate you guys. I watch you guys all the time and still follow you, big McCarthy, and it's good to see you guys again, man. We can make this happen anytime. Anytime you want, you let me know. We'll come and chat.
Oh, definitely. We'll have you back, man. We appreciate you spending so much time with us, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, bud. Have a good day.
Take care. All right, Josh. What do you think, man? That was a lot of fun with Steve. We got to do a lot of different things. Even got into your damn stupid question about Ben Askren and Jake Paul. I can't believe you asked him that, but he had some good answers with everything. He was fun.
I made a good point.
You did, and you changed his mind right away. Yes. He was like, damn.
I always started wondering if I should maybe be a lawyer, because I do love to argue, even when I'm not, even though when I know I'm not right, I try to argue the situation. So it's great. Also, you guys go to prowrestlingtees.com/weighing in. Use the promo code podcast. That'll give you another 20% off. We've got a plethora of shirts, as John would like to say. And also, don't forget, Super Bowl weekend is coming up. Go to mybookie.ag, use the promo code weighing in, and they will give you 50% of your initial deposit. Okay, Super Bowl is coming up, so make sure you guys do that. John likes to say, if you put in $100, Yeah, we'll give you
You
another
put in
$50.
100, you get 150.
150. I like to say if you put in 1,000, you get 500 because that's what I would do because I'm not very bright with my money. So that's what I would do. You guys, Super Bowl's coming up. You can bet on everything. First field goal. If they do scrub kicks in the beginning to start the game, however, and they can do it also by the first quarter, second quarter, halftime show. They even have bets on the halftime show as well. They can do all sorts of different things. Don't just think football and MMA. They've got every other sport is available as well. So check them out. Put that initial deposit in. Your very first time is when the offer is available. So use the promo code WayneIn. We want to thank you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this show. And John, I feel like there's always one last thing you got to say because that's who you are.
You got to always say the last word. It's see ya.